All right, get ready, because today we are diving deep into the world of Aries. We found this super interesting astrology article, and it breaks down all the Aries things, like
Love
all the classic traits, compatibility with other signs, and even some predictions for March 2025, just for you. Now, even if you're not into horoscopes, stick with us, okay?
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised how insightful this stuff can be,
Hmm.
especially when you're trying to figure out relationships or work dynamics.
Yeah, that's so true. It's amazing how these astrological insights can actually help you understand people better, whether you believe in horoscopes or not.
Right, and I love a good juicy detail. Well, this article is packed with them. Did you know that March 2025 has a Venus retrograde in Aries? Apparently, things can get a little crazy, especially when it comes to love.
Oh, yeah. Venus retrograde is like hitting the cosmic rewind button, and it's known for shaking things up in our relationships. Like, it can even bring past issues back into the picture, or,
Mhm.
old flames, and it really makes you rethink what you truly want in a relationship.
Okay, so before we go totally starry-eyed, let's get back to the basics of Aries. The article says they're like the spark plugs of the zodiac. That friend who's always bursting with energy and ready for anything, always down for a random road trip or coming up with those last-minute plans. Sound familiar?
Oh, definitely. And it's so fascinating to see how these traits play out in the real world. Like, think about some famous Aries. Lady Gaga, Emma Watson. They're all about that Aries energy. Fearless, driven, not afraid to go against the grain. It's not just about being bold, it's about leading with so much passion and conviction.
I love that.
Yeah.
The article also mentions that Aries are natural-born leaders.
Hmm.
But it's not like they're bossy, right? It's more like they're so enthusiastic that everyone just wants to follow their lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they light the fire and everyone wants to be near it. It's that natural leadership quality. I think it comes from their ruling planet, Mars. Mars is all about action, energy, being assertive. So it makes sense that Aries have that go-getter attitude.
Makes total sense. But even the brightest stars have their shadows. The article mentions that Aries can be impatient, stubborn, even a little hot-headed sometimes. Is that the Mars influence again, showing its fiery side?
You could say that. They're definitely known for being passionate and, yeah, fiery sometimes. But here's the thing, even though they can be a bit impulsive, they're also incredibly honest. No mind games or beating around the bush. You always know where you stand with an Aries, which can be so refreshing, honestly, in a world where things feel so fake sometimes.
So true. Okay, let's talk compatible signs, because the article had some really interesting pairings. We got Leo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and this one surprised me, Aquarius. They seem so different on the surface. How can a fiery Aries get along with an independent air sign like Aquarius?
Well, the Aries-Aquarius connection is super interesting. It really shows you how opposite energies can actually work together. Aries is all about action, making their mark on the world, while Aquarius brings that detached intellectual perspective. It's that classic fire and air combo. They fuel each other.
So it's not about being the same. It's more about the spark you get from those differences. Like Aries is the flame, and Aquarius fans those flames with their unique perspective, helps the flame grow in ways you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. And because both signs value their independence, they naturally give each other space. There's no neediness, no codependency, just mutual respect and that shared love for adventure.
Wow, this is making me think about all the Aries-Aquarius pairs I know. It all makes so much sense now.
Right. Sometimes it's those unexpected pairings that teach you the most about what really makes two people compatible.
Okay, but I don't want to make it sound like there are never any clashes. The article does mention that Aries might butt heads with some signs, like Cancer and Capricorn. But let's be real, every relationship has its challenges.
Oh, for sure. It's not about avoiding challenges, it's about learning to work through them. Like with Cancer, who's a sensitive water sign, Aries might need to tone down their fiery directness a little and try to be more empathetic. And with Capricorn, who loves structure and discipline, Aries might need to practice a little more patience. It's so true. Honestly, a little friction can be good sometimes. It pushes us to grow and appreciate different perspectives.
You've got it. It's about finding that balance between being true to your own fiery nature and learning to dance with the flames of others.
Love that analogy. Okay, ready to get into these March 2025 predictions? Buckle up, because the article says the cosmos is basically rolling out the red carpet for Aries this month. It's their time to shine.
Ooh, sounds like March is going to be exciting for all the Aries out there. And even for those of us who aren't Aries, understanding these cosmic vibes can give you a glimpse into what everyone's going to be feeling.
That's what I love about this stuff. So let's break it down by phases. Early March, from the 1st to the 10th, is when that Venus retrograde in Aries really kicks in. Remember, Venus retrograde is like hitting rewind on your relationships. Old flames might pop up again, unresolved conflicts could reappear, or you might find yourself falling back into old patterns. Right, but it's important to remember that Venus retrograde isn't always a bad thing. It's more about reevaluating and reflecting. Like the universe is giving you a chance to look back at your past relationships, see what worked, what didn't, and learn from it all.
So it's not necessarily going backwards, it's more like using the past to shape your future, especially when it comes to love.
Exactly. It's about getting clarity
Mhm.
so you can make better choices moving forward.
I see. So instead of jumping right back into old habits, this is a time for Aries to take a step back, reflect, maybe even do some journaling about what they truly want in a relationship.
Exactly. And this retrograde energy might make you a little more sensitive than usual. So try to be mindful of how you react to things.
So use that fire for introspection instead of, burning bridges.
Exactly. Journaling, meditation, talking to a friend you trust. Those are all great ways to handle the intensity of this retrograde.
Great advice. What about the next phase of March?
Well, from the 11th to the 20th, Mercury is moving into Pisces, and this shift in energy is going to soften those Aries edges a little bit.
So less fight me and more, let's create something beautiful together.
Exactly. Mercury in Pisces brings a much gentler, more intuitive energy. It's a great time for Aries to tap into their creativity, explore their emotions, and connect with others on a more compassionate level.
I love that. So instead of charging ahead with their usual intensity, it's a time for Aries to collaborate, connect, maybe even get some artistic inspiration.
You got it.
Yeah.
The article even suggests teaming up with Leo or Gemini friends during this time. It's a chance to combine your strengths and come up with some really cool ideas. Those air signs will balance out the Aries fire really well.
See, we can all benefit from a little astrology, even if we don't identify with a particular sign.
Absolutely. It's all about understanding those energies and using them to your advantage.
All right, on to the last phase of March. From the 21st to the 31st, Aries season is in full swing, and there's a powerful new moon in Aries on March 29th. Big energy alert. What can we expect during this last stretch?
Well, new moons are all about fresh starts, like setting new intentions. And with this one happening in Aries, it's the perfect time for some bold action. Taking those first steps toward a goal you've been thinking about. It's all about embracing the Aries can-do spirit and really stepping into your power.
So if you've been dreaming of something, this is the time to just go for it. No more excuses.
Exactly. Plant those seeds, take that leap, and trust that the universe will have your back.
I love that. But wait, didn't we say Venus retrograde is still happening in this last part of March? Is it really a good idea to be making big moves while that's going on?
That's a great point. Venus retrograde does stick around until mid-April, so it's probably best to be a little careful, especially when it comes to big decisions about love or money.
Got it. So maybe hold off on proposing to your partner or investing in that cryptocurrency your friend keeps telling you about.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to wait until after the retrograde. Just to avoid any complications or regrets later on, use this time to really think things through, look at your options, and make sure your decisions align with your long-term goals.
Makes sense. It's like they say, look before you leap, especially with Venus in retrograde. Okay, before we move on from predictions, I have to share this quick tip from the article. I love how it's written. It says, March is your glow-up month, Aries. Venus retrograde might test your patience, but it's just the universe asking, what do you really want? Answer with action, start something, ditch what's stale, and own your fire. How awesome is that?
It's perfect, right? It captures the Aries spirit so well, that drive to evolve, to create, to go after what they're passionate about.
It's like a pep talk from the universe, reminding us all to embrace our own inner fire, even when things get a little messy.
Yeah. And to remember that those challenges, those moments of friction, those are often the things that help us grow the most.
Okay, so we've talked about classic Aries traits, how they get along with other signs, and even dove into some predictions for March 2025. I feel like I have a much better understanding of what makes an Aries tick.
Me too. It's been a fascinating look into the world of Aries.
But before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with one final question to think about. What area of your life could use a little bit of that Aries energy? Maybe it's a creative project you've been putting off, a conversation you've been avoiding, or maybe it's just taking a chance on something that scares you a little. What do you think would happen if you approached it with that bold Aries spirit?
That's a really great question. We all have that spark inside us, that potential for courage and action. Sometimes we just need a little reminder that we're capable of so much more than we think.
Right. It's about tapping into that inner fire, that drive to create, to lead, to make things happen. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. It could be as simple as speaking up for yourself, setting a boundary, or finally starting that project you've been dreaming of.
And even if you stumble or face setbacks, remember that Aries are known for being resilient. They fall down, they brush themselves off, and they get right back up, all because they believe in themselves.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect or getting it right every single time. It's about embracing the journey, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on what truly matters to you.
And you never know, maybe by channeling a bit of that Aries energy, you might just inspire others to do the same.
I love that. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Spreading that courage and passion.
It really is a beautiful thought. It reminds us that we're all connected, each of us with unique gifts to share.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end our deep dive into the world of Aries. A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through it all. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling energized and inspired, ready to embrace my own inner fire.
It was my pleasure. And remember, whether you're an Aries or not, the power to create change, to ignite your passions, is within all of us.
So true. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this astrological adventure. Stay curious, stay fiery, and keep exploring. We'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then, keep those flames burning bright. It really makes you think.
It does.
Like, what could I be doing with a little more of that Aries energy?
Right.
What would it look like if I just went for it without overthinking everything?
You know, that's something I've been working on myself lately, just trusting my gut and taking action.
Yeah, it's so easy to get stuck in our heads sometimes.
It is, especially with all the information overload these days.
Totally. But sometimes you just gotta say, screw it, I'm doing this.
Exactly.
Like that Aries new moon we talked about.
Yeah.
What a perfect opportunity to set some bold intentions and actually follow through with them.
Absolutely. Even if it's just one small step, like what's one thing you've been wanting to do but keep putting off?
Ooh, good question. Honestly, I've been wanting to start painting again, but I keep telling myself I don't have the time or the talent.
I bet you're a much better painter than you think.
You think so?
I do. Maybe this is your sign to dust off those brushes and just go for it.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I just need to stop overthinking it and let the creativity flow.
That's the spirit.
See, I'm channeling my inner Aries already.
Love it.
What about you? Any Aries-inspired goals you're working on?
Well, I've been wanting to be more assertive in my communication, especially at work.
Interesting.
Sometimes I hold back from sharing my ideas or advocating for myself.
I get that.
So I'm trying to tap into that Aries confidence
Yeah.
and really speak my truth.
I think that's so powerful. And honestly, we could all benefit from a little more of that. Speaking our minds and standing up for what we believe in.
Right.
It's not always easy, but it's so important.
It is.
Well, I think this has been a super insightful conversation. I've learned so much about Aries. And more importantly, I've been inspired to embrace my own inner fire a little more.
Me too. It's
Right.
been a pleasure diving deep into this topic with you.
Like what? And to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel a little more empowered to take on the world with that Aries spirit.
And remember, stay curious
Stay fiery.
and keep exploring.
We'll see you next time.